Welcome to the Local Marketing Industry Weekly Update, brought to you by LocalMarketingSource.com. This update is taken from the Local Marketing Source Professional Development Program for local marketers. The Local Marketing Weekly Update is for those interested in marketing their local business on the Internet. For free Internet access to education and training courses, visit LocalMarketingSource.com.
This week's Local Marketing Update is brought to you by Scott Gallagher. Scott is the co-founder of Local Marketing Source and has become the recognized expert in providing online marketing services to local businesses. Follow Scott on Twitter at ScottGallagher5 and on Facebook.com/ScottPGallagher.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Scott Gallagher here with Local Marketing Source, and we're bringing you our weekly local marketing industry update. Now, our next week's LMS Faculty Call is going to be next Wednesday, November 14th at 4 p.m. Eastern. The LMS membership provides access to our existing forum. I say existing because in the next couple of weeks for students that are on the line, we've got some big changes that are coming to that. Our membership is vastly being enhanced, and we're bringing in some really exciting content, speakers, guests, as well as attendees. It's an opportunity to answer live questions. We're going to have real-time 24/7 live communication with faculty members, existing students, heroes, those that have been successful, and you'll be able to get in and engage and have some excellent conversation with them. And also, during the weekly updates, we've got 2 tips that we're bringing you, 1 for a local business and 2 for an internet marketing agency that's available only to LMS member students. We'll get to that in a moment. But this week, we're going to be covering, we don't have a lot. Google's making some changes to their SERPs that we're going to update you on and some of the results for that. Some of the market share for mobile is shifting, so we'll be able to share some opinions on that and what's transpiring. We've hit a critical state in terms of market share for that. And then for the tips, last week we talked about Tier 1 profiles. And this week I want to talk and share some second-tier profiles and some unorthodox citation sources. And finally, next week, we're going to get into our review acquisition system and discuss different ways to encourage reviews and not solicit reviews and what's the main difference between that. So having said that, let me pull up this screen here. Give me one moment. Perfect. And now here we can see our secondary data providers. Let's just go back. Oops. And so last week with the major data providers and search engines, you can see a list of the search engines to the left and the major data providers as well. And secondary data providers, remember we talked about citations, and citations are merely a web reference of your business. We list your NAP, your name, your address, and your phone number, and you want to remain consistent in that. And essentially, your goal is to get exposure that's out there for a local business, whether that's theme-related sites, so if it's a restaurant, you'll want food-related sites, or local, whether it be citations on perhaps a Chamber of Commerce. And a Chamber of Commerce could be a secondary data provider. Well, there's a whole variety and different groupings of secondary data providers. There's those that are easy to get. There's those that cost money. There's those that have greater authority and greater relevance. For example, a Chamber of Commerce costs money, $20, $30, $50 a month to be a member of that. And the objective of the Chamber of Commerce is not just to get a citation. It's a lot more than just that. But getting exposure on that site shows a variety of different things, especially to a search engine. Another idea of an unorthodox citation may be if your business is in a strip mall and you may want to add a red box or a weather station. And with a weather station on the top, you can tap into government sites, broadcast your weather station information through the internet, and get referenced on a .gov site. You can do searches for local charity groups and work with a local school or different education portals or nonprofit organizations and get exposure on those sites. And those would be local-based citations. But now, getting back to data providers. Data providers are a sense of directories in a certain way. Just like a major data provider may be yellowpages.com or InfoUSA. And why InfoUSA becomes a major data provider is that's their business. They're in the business of contacting, phoning, and verifying their information. Their data is very accurate as far as businesses in the United States. And so companies would pay InfoUSA money to get access to their database, and that's what they do. But now they broadcast a lot of that information online, and it costs money in a sense to get some of that exposure. So InfoUSA is a very trusted source. Secondary providers are not as trusted. A secondary provider may be a site that you can go in and add a business and add the information very easily, and they may not have a confirmation process to truly verify the authenticity of that information. But here's a list of different secondary data providers. This is a small list, and of course this list is going to be refined for the business in question. Of course this does not get to any theme or local related citations. That's getting into higher quality citations. But this is a list of the easy to gets, the low-hanging fruits that are out there. And you can get most businesses in each one of these directories. Now, next week, when we start to talk about review acquisition systems, and the reason why reviews are very important is reviews essentially are the digital form of word of mouth. And we know the best advertising for businesses that exist is word of mouth advertising. There's no question about that. And so having a review acquisition system, you see a lot of these sites that propagate and host reviews say do not solicit reviews. It's a big violation. Yelp is really big on that. As a matter of fact, we talked a couple of weeks ago about a sting operation that they had. And so going and soliciting reviews, that's going and asking for a review. Would you review my business, please? Is soliciting a review. But if I'm in a dentist office and I'm going for a service of, say, teeth whitening, and they do a good job for me, and I say to the doctor, or I say to the receptionist, you know, I'm very, very happy with your service. I can't wait to go and tell a few people about it. Well, I've now given a positive review. And that business turns around and says, well, thank you for saying something nice for us. Would you go onto the internet and please share that with others? You're not soliciting a review. So next week when we talk about the review acquisition system, we're going to look at different strategies to be able to implement a review acquisition system. But there's three things that reviews impact. And they directly impact your ranking. Whether that's argued in the SEO community or not, we'll provide hardcore evidence that right from Google, and the only time Google has explicitly said that it influences ranking, is going to be reviews. Number two is for the internet marketing equation to work, you've got to convert. And reviews are a massive influence on conversion. So it ties into a topic called online reputation that we've got to float on a little bit. And at number three, reviews establish service area. Google knows that the average chiropractor in my area has a service area of about 2.5 miles. But if a chiropractor is good and somebody's, or a specialist or whatnot, and somebody's going to travel 5 miles, the search engines have got to reflect that. And so we can influence that and broaden and increase the service area for businesses through the use of our review acquisition system. Now, moving on to some updates. There's not a lot this week. This seemed to be a quiet week. But nonetheless, Google is moving and changing its search options as always. And, you know, sometimes they learn stuff from mobile. And because of the size of mobile, they've compressed things a little bit, and they've added search options at the top, not along the side. Well, that's going to be a change, and it's going to push their SERPs. It's going to push the SERP down a little bit. The reason why that this is news and it's relevant for the local community is because the use of the SERPs and of how we've got to demonstrate that a search engine really isn't just there to display information, it's to make things easier for its users. And local is a very big piece of this. So we've seen a lot of different aspects, especially with the items of rich snippets. And I'm constantly touching on rich snippets because the use of rich snippets is very low. And we encourage you, especially rich snippets like the authorship rich snippet, or the H review rich snippet, or the it's another one, the venue times that businesses are open. There's a whole variety of different rich snippets that we can use for businesses, and this is information that's ultimately displayed in the SERP. Well, when users are looking for that, it's in a sense going to give you more real estate on that page and influence conversion. So just making note of a simple little change of what Google is doing, it really demonstrates to us the importance of what we should be doing, and why less than 10% of websites utilize these rich snippets is beyond me, especially in the local community. It's a massive impact. Now, having said that, mobile market share has surpassed 10%. This doesn't seem like much. But if you've been in the internet marketing community for any amount of time, you've seen this trend happen several times over, where market shares tend to grow, and we've got to look at that curve and see how things are moving and where things are going. Well, we're at that critical stage now, that beyond 10%, it's no longer that shiny object. It's no longer the new aspect. It's something that's very, very serious. And the fact of the matter is 10% of consumers, or 30 million Americans, are utilizing this channel. Some of your local business clients or your local business may be a little bit different. For example, in the restaurant industry, more than 10% of your patrons are going to be utilizing mobile and may fall into that 10%. But nonetheless, for the first time that this has happened, and this is critical, this is usage of all websites across the web entirely. It's a big number now. What's more interesting, though, is the search engines and how we understand the search engines for their particular results. And market share is a critical aspect of that, of these search engines. We focus on understanding Google because they've got 65% market share in the internet. But on mobile, they've got 89% market share. Massive. That might be due to their operating system. Most likely. So in any event, on that note, and some of the updates, this is going to be the conclusion of our local marketing industry weekly update. And we will be back to you next week. I'm now going to open the floor to questions for local marketing source students.